All right, guys, friends, family, everybody else, whoever wants to watch, whoever clicked on the link, I'm gonna make a short video here. And I actually had a buddy ask me, where I did my research at. So I was just gonna kind of tell him that, and he actually asked how much it costs and all this stuff. And I do pay for doing a lot of research, and it's only like $20 a month, I think. You can pay by the year, which is normally what I do. The first of the year, I just pay it, and of course, you get records here to fold 3, archives, newspapers. All of this is included in a bundle package. You just have to look into the pricing on that, but that's through Ancestry. Now, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to pay to actually search for your family online. There are a few things that Ancestry does that FamilySearch.org doesn't do. And like I said, you can come here, create you a free account, put in your email, password, good things like that, and actually start building a family tree and searching records. And this website is run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints out of Utah, I believe. And they keep a lot of records. Now, you'll pull, if you have an Ancestry account, you will actually pull records when you search from FamilySearch.org. And that's the one thing that you really pay for when you pay for a service like this, is it's got so many resources that Ancestry searches. When you go here, you're searching the sources that they have, and I actually think they're linked to maybe Find a Grave, but I'm not 100% on that. I hadn't really used FamilySearch a whole lot, although I have used it, because there are some records you'll find here that you may not find on Ancestry. So anyway, Ancestry just searches a wide array of records. That includes military records, census and vital records, which is from archives.com, and newspapers.com. So old newspapers that have been digitized. Another thing you can do with Ancestry is when you actually go to search, something and you find a record that may be your family, but you're not 100% sure, you don't have to add it to your tree. You can come and put it in what they call the shoebox, so you can go back and look at that later. There's also message boards on Ancestry, so you can go to the message boards and have conversations with maybe some other people that are researching the same people, and share notes and stuff like this. The one thing I say is always do your own research, or have somebody you trust do your research. The one thing I'll never do is try to clutter up the family tree. And when I say that, let's just take, for example, I'm going to go to my tree real quick. Alright. And let's take the ones with leaves. Alright. Here's my great-grandmother. And of course I've got 3 hints. Now these are the records. The facts are exactly what it says, facts. It's a fact that in 1870 she was found on this census. 1880, 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930, and 1940. Now the 1950 census hasn't been released, and there's no 1890 census, because it burned up in a fire, and only bits and pieces of that were ever recovered. There are a few Oklahoma territorial census from 1890 still exist, because they actually had it in their possession instead of in the National Archives and where it actually burned. So with that being said, there's a few records that are missing, and you're never going to find them, so keep that in mind. So you got a 20-year span here that it's kind of a dead period that you can actually go look in to find information. You'll have to look for other sources, and those other sources include newspapers. They could still pull up from 1890. If they find that name in a digitized newspaper in the general area you're looking for, Ancestry will pull that up. Or you can actually go search those. But like I said, Ancestry and newspapers are together, but it's a separate entity, if that makes sense. It's actually newspapers.com, I believe, is owned by Ancestry or something like that. So, but you can actually pay for the service of newspapers, or you could pay for Ancestry, or you can get a bundle and just get it all, which is what I typically do. Now, one thing I was going to touch on is the hints. All right, well, you get these little leaves here. And when I was talking about doing your own research, those are the facts that I found. Here's the Social Security Applications and Claims Index. This was one record that actually had the name of my great-grandfather wrong. And it's showing William Harvey. And I plan to disprove that. And I hope I have to most people, because you know, this is what my dad always told me his name was, and I'm gonna make a separate video on that. But this was probably possibly a death record or a Social Security claims application, and it was for my grandfather. Of course, this name is misspelled. It's Bunn, and you know, it pulls suggested records. Here's a Sally A. Burton. Let's just click on one to see. And this is in Salt Spring, Randolph, Missouri. And actually married to William Burton. The birthplace of the mother was in Kentucky. The father was in Virginia. The marriage year was 1860. Alright. So, when you start looking at this, here's an S.A. Burton. And let's just see. This is also in Randolph, Missouri. And you see Hutchin Burton, which I happen to know is a different line of Burtons because our DNA, and I know some of his ancestors. I don't know them personally, but I've talked to them. So there's actually a guy that has a whole database with almost every Burton and family and household between 1870 and 1940 in the United States. It's amazing the information he has. So with that being said, we pretty much know that this isn't our relative. First off, the birth date, none of this actually matches, so we're going to go ahead, and this is actually the document that I'm going to say yes to, and it's going to show Sally Bunn, but this is actually Henry Harvey Rufus Burton. So when we click that, if it shows here, you don't have to add it to this, but it'll actually add it to his profile too, to his profile page that you have saved on Ancestry. So if I click that, it knows the husband of Sarah E. Sally Bunn. If this person is this one, then this one is that, and then the children. So, and it shouldn't change the name. All right, now if you come over here and it says not a match, like there's nothing here, then it'll add a new person to your tree, which you don't want that, which will clutter it up. So I suggest leaving it unchecked. And when you get into that and add a person, you can actually delete an entire line if you wanted to, if you accidentally add it. But anyway, we're gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna save this to my tree, and that'll get rid of one of the hints. All right, and this here is just simply a marriage record. And this was what was transcribed by Judy's Genes, who also does a lot of Burton research in Alabama. And this is what she gathered from the microfilm, and she's just translated to paper everything that was listed. Of course, the groom's birth date wasn't listed, the birthplace, the age, just the names and a date and a location. So anyway, that's what you have there. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to save this, and it says it's saved to Sarah E. Sally Bunn. So now when I go to fax, it'll show up here, right here. And here was an interesting piece that I showed you. I may not have this account linked to it, but yeah, there we go. And this was something that I found searching through newspapers, and you're able to go on there and highlight it. So you type in Jim Bunn. It says Jim Bunn of Lincoln spent the weekend with his daughter, Mrs. Harvey Burton. All right, and then it goes on to say Mary Heath spent the weekend with Myrtle Gregorn at Glencoe. Mr. and Mrs. John Burton and family of Jacksonville. So now we know there's a John Burton in Jacksonville. Spent Sunday with Mr. and Mrs. Harvey Burton. So sometime this will give you a date. This is April 26, 1935. And we know Harvey and Sally Bunn. Mrs. Harvey Bunn, Harvey Burton, I said Harvey Bunn, Harvey Burton had a son that was also named John Burton, even though his father was named John Burton. So anyway, you can see this was clipped by me. This is my, I'm not signed in, but this was my profile. And you can actually add the names that are mentioned, and it'll save this so that it'll automatically pull it up into that. So it gives you a date and a time frame. So you can do that. Now, what I was saying, do your own research and don't actually take everyone else's word for it. It's never a bad idea to come and look here. And this leaf will always show up. So you'll, even when you finish all the facts you see and go through all the hints and either can review them and save them and ignore them, one of those two, it'll still show this right here. So you're going to have this one leaf, and the only way to get rid of that is to ignore what other people are researching. And I really don't like to do that. I could click here and I could go down through here. This is from Judy's Genes, who I said actually helped with a lot of my research. She had a lot of information, and you can compare what she has to what you have. Right. There's the Harris family tree. So you can see how you go through here and compare. She's got 13 records. So you could actually go and look at this profile on her page by clicking it, just to compare what you have to what she has. And if you have the same information, then you know you're probably on the right track. And she may have something that you don't. Of course, she's got a lot more here in the Aniston star. Let me just click on it. I have all of these saved too. I just don't have them uploaded to this. And of course, this is April 5th, 1935. And sometimes you have to look through here and actually read them. I had mine highlighted, and you know, this is just something that she didn't highlight. And at the time she did it, they may not have had the capability to highlight it. But you just start looking for the names. And you know, you see this a lot. You know, they would write who went and visited who and who came into town. It was, you know, it was a big deal. But I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time looking. I'm sure I can find it if I really look for it. But regardless, I just wanted to show you, never take someone else's word for it. Do your own research. And of course, this will tell you which tree you're in. You're in her trees. Right, and you can actually view her tree. And this lady, like I said, she has done a lot of research on the Burtons. And of course, her Burton line is totally different than my Burton line. So there's a John William, born in 1842. So we're actually in a separate line. My actual grandfather was great grandfather was born in South Carolina, and I happen to know this one wasn't. So, or actually, if he was, it was a totally different person. He was born in Alabama, in Talladega. So anyway, you can go through and find a lot of information from other people's trees, but don't copy everything they have, because what if they're wrong? Always do your own research. I'm just going to go back to my tree, and you can create multiple trees if you look here and click trees, you can go down through here. Now I actually have two of the same person, and they're actually different trees because there was two guys named Absalom Burton. So anyway, you can go through there and do your own research. So to get rid of this leaf on her, I'm going to come up here and click on her profile. I'm going back to hints, and I'm just going to click ignore. So there we go. Now when I go back to my tree, that all the leaves will be gone for her. So that's how you clear those. And that's just some pointers. Now, like I said, you can do a lot of the same stuff you can do on Ancestry through Family Search. Although I'm not familiar with it, I do know you can create a family tree for absolutely free. You're missing a lot of the resources, and I just wanted to share that with you. So in my next video, I'm probably going to start going over some census records from our family and just, posting those up and going through those to show you, and how we can use Google Earth, which I have here, to actually show you how to track your family over time and watch their movements and patterns, and you'll be able to create like a migration trail. And that's what I plan to do in the next video. So until then, thanks for watching, and set you up a free account and get your family tree started. It's a lot of fun, and it's rewarding. So get your tree started, and I'll see you in the next video.